Welcome back to 10A Politic. Today we're going to be looking at where the Democratic Party are overestimating their support. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and classify quite a few states: Nevada, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Texas, Florida. One, two, three. Yep. I think that's it. Yeah. I think they're overestimating their support for quite a few reasons. I want to start with Michigan. It's part of the Rust Belt. But now I want to show you something. 2014 was a red wave year. In so many places, the GOP made flips. In South Dakota, in Montana, in Colorado. After Max Baucus's retirement, Mark Hito lost his re-election. Mike Begich lost his re-election. Mark Pryor lost his re-election. Mayor Landrieu lost her re-election. Kay Hagan lost her re-election. And there's an open seat in West Virginia, as well as in Iowa after Tom Harkin retired. But in Michigan, in red wave year, Gary Peters won his re-election by 13 points. Just think about that. He won by 13 points. Come 2020, he won by much less, 1.7 points to be exact. I'm not saying that Michigan could be going for the Republicans anytime soon, because Donald Trump is one of the key figures. However, with Donald Trump on the ticket, when Donald Trump was on the ticket in 2016 and in 2020, he converted many lifelong Democrats, older Democrats, white no college education Democrats, most of them quite old, and who were involved in manufacturing in industry, and jobs kept going away. They consistently voted for Democrats like Barack Obama, but when Donald Trump came along, they cast their ballot for him. However, they didn't just cast it for him, they went Republican down ballot, and that what's really changed the thing. Because right now, even come 2020, if we look at the presidential election in Minnesota, in Michigan, you can see Joe Biden won, and he won quite by reasonably big in Michigan. He won by about two points, a little more than 2 points, I would think. How much is it? Let's see. Yeah, at 2.8 points. So he won by a relatively big margin. Looking at the size of the lead and stuff in some areas, he didn't win that big. But he won relatively well. Shift from 2016. A big part of this area, mostly Michigan, went Democratic statewide, heavily Democratic, and that's the thing. It may not go Republican, but because many Trump supporters who voted for him in 2016 after his impeachment, the first one, and after the COVID-19, many of them voted against him for an independent or decided not to vote. However, the key thing that happened here was that all those down ballot voters might have voted for Joe Biden or someone else on the presidential level, but they still voted Republican down the ballot in the Senate, in the House, in other elections. And that's what changed it from Michigan being such a safe Democratic state. So many counties: Marquette County, Gogebic County, Alger County, Chippewa County. If we look here, so few. Chippewa's County gone, Alger County gone, Gogebic County gone. So many of them. And that's really the shift. That's why I'm going to classify. That's why I want to classify. That's why I want to classify Michigan as one of those states. So we already talked about it, so I'm just going to click on it. Now I want to look at Nevada. In Nevada, there are two Senate elections in Nevada I want to look at. Two Senate elections in Nevada I want to look at. The 2016 Senate election over here in the state of Nevada. Democratic hold there. I want to look at the details. Where is it? And Nevada. Harry Reid was reelected with only 50% of the vote. Interesting, isn't it? The Senate minority leader with only 50%. Catherine Cortez Masto won the Democratic nomination. And then Joe Heck ran against Catherine Cortez Masto, and neither of them got a majority, but because of the huge turnout in the Las Vegas area, Catherine Cortez Masto narrowly won the election. I mean, you can check the margins. She went lower than 50%, losing, but lots of independents took away some votes. None of these candidates took some votes because in Nevada, none of the above, so that just took away a lot of votes too, and so the Democrats won it. And then after that, so that's what happened in Nevada by a reasonable amount. And then come 2018. Let's just look at this too. It might help. So Nevada, Catherine Cortez Masto beat Joe Heck. This was the interesting though was in Washoe County. He won by about 0.9%. Come 2020, Joe Biden won this by a big margin. I mean, almost. That's 3.5 points. But he didn't do as well in the Las Vegas area though compared to Catherine Cortez Masto. Yeah, she got about 11 points, and he didn't get that much. He only got about 7 points. But that's just something interesting. But come 2018, we have another set of interesting results in 2018. So again, we have in Nevada, we have a Democratic flip there. So we have Jackie Rosen winning the seat, beating Dean Heller. So she wins with 50.41. She's a more popular incumbent. She won by a bigger margin, flipping Washoe County as well. And the margin, though, is interesting. She won by a much bigger margin. However, come 2020, in 2020, there wasn't a Senate election there. However, there was the presidential election. Nevada statewide results were quite worrying. It narrowed from Jackie Rosen, and the lead even became closer than Catherine Cortez Masto. I mean, that was 2-3 points. Here it's about 3 points too. And Democrats are extremely worried, rightly. They really should be, because, I mean, Nevada was one of the final states to be called. They called Virginia, they called Florida, they called Ohio, they called Texas, they called Iowa. They called so many states before they finally called Nevada. That could have something to do with counting, but it also has something to do with the fact that Nevada, I mean, way back, Las Vegas area used to have a huge lead. Now the Vegas area is just a tiny amount. I mean, look at this. Monterey County has a bigger lead than Las Vegas, and it's worrying for Democrats, because at some point Nevada could become more competitive, especially with someone like Donald Trump on the ticket. Although he does attack Hispanics frequently, including in states like Florida, with a large Hispanic population, Arizona, Nevada, he still wins. That's an interesting phenomenon, and I think a lot of people are wondering how he does that. But Nevada, especially with people like populists or hard-right conservatives who attack certain people, like Donald Trump, they have a chance of actually winning in Nevada. Now I want to look at Texas. This is an interesting one because it seems like the Republicans would be overestimating their support. But to be honest, the Democrats really are. If we look, Texas was up in 2014. John Cornyn's seat was up. He ran against David Alamil. He was elected by an even bigger margin, 61 points. Yeah, and David Alamil did not do well. But yeah, I think that's it. And so, what exactly could Texas mean? What exactly could that mean? So in 2016, they had no election in Texas. Yep. In 2018, they had the famous Ted Cruz Beto O'Rourke race. Rhode Island, that is, yeah. Okay. So, scroll up a little, Texas. So, Democrats thought they could flip Texas. Beto O'Rourke was such a great candidate. In a presidential election year, in a blue wave year, and look, there are two things. A presidential election year, where they have a high amount of turnout, and a blue or wave year when they have a large amount of support for 1 year. I think Beto O'Rourke could have won if it was both a presidential year and a blue wave year. 2018 was a blue wave year, but it was not a presidential year. If he ran in 2020, he actually had a good chance of winning. However, the fact is, the Democrats were thinking about carrying to Texas in 2020. They did not have a good chance of doing so because Ted Cruz is an unpopular person in Texas, especially after he went to Cancun, Mexico. During the Texas Power blackout, I plan to make a video on that, but you should check out my video on Ted Cancun Cruz. However, Beto O'Rourke was more popular than Joe Biden statewide, and that's why he stood a chance. Democrats don't really have that great a chance, even in the 2020 Senate elections. Again, John Cornyn easily beat MJ Hager, easily. I mean, there was not much competition. Look at the margins, it's big, almost 8 to 10 points, basically. It is certainly better than how he did in 2014. I mean, the margins show that Democrats improved in Texas, and I'm not saying that Democrats can't win. At some point, Texas could go blue, likely might go blue, but all I'm saying is that it doesn't look like it's going to be happening now. Like, in this margin, not Senate, presidential, oh dear. If you look at the presidential election, yep, there we are, okay. Oh dear. Okay, final. Texas went to Donald Trump by about 6 points, 5 to 6 points, so that's a big margin. So that's why I classify Texas as Democrats overestimating their support. Now I want to look at Wisconsin. 2014, there was no election in Wisconsin. Come 2016, oh my gosh. Come 2016, there was an election in Wisconsin. So if we go all the way down, we can check. 2016 was a red wave year, but the Republicans had given up on Ron Johnson. To be honest, everyone had given up on him. Wisconsin was a blue wall state. He might have won back then. He might have won in 2010 by a surprise win. A first-time senator, he won, but everyone expected Russ Feingold to flip the seat. He did not. It was a surprising uphill victory, and nobody expected that. It's just shocking that this could happen because no one expected it. However, what happened following that? Ron Johnson held the seat. Democrats really thought they could win. Then, if you look at the 2018 Senate election, there, Wisconsin. Bernie Sanders winning every county there. Maria Cantwell, no. Oh, I never really noticed the similarities between Maria Cantwell and Kamala Harris. They do look kind of similar. West Virginia, Joe Manchin wins by narrowly. Wisconsin, Tammy Baldwin, she wins by 11 points. Big margin, right? But then, you have to look back. The 2020 election, there was nothing there. However, on the presidential election, Joe Biden, he won. I won't do the exact math, okay? 49.45 minus, I want to find out the exact amount. Minus 48.82. 48.82. 0.63. 0.6%. 0.63%. That's not even 2/3 of a percentage point. That's how much he won. He won Michigan by a much bigger margin, 3 points. He won Pennsylvania by about 1.2 points. But he won Wisconsin by the smallest, thinnest margin. And that's why I think Wisconsin has some room for competition. Tammy Baldwin is a popular incumbent. So is Ron Johnson. Maybe not so much after the Capitol incident and supporting Trump on all the issues, but they're both relatively popular incumbents. However, Democrats are sometimes overestimating their support. If Donald Trump had just gotten 2020 in an extra, if Donald Trump had just gotten maybe 11,000 of Joe Biden's votes, so take away 11,000 from Joe Biden and give 11,000 to Donald Trump, he would have won Wisconsin. 10 electoral votes. Pennsylvania was also very close. I mean, that's already 30 electoral votes changing hands, and that would be 276 for Biden. Arizona, another extremely close state. I mean, look at the margins. If you just gave Donald Trump, if Donald Trump had just won maybe even 60,000 of Joe Biden's votes, he could have been re-elected president of the United States. And that's what's interesting and worrying for the Democrats, because they are severely overestimating their support. In Arizona, however, they're not overestimating their support because it hasn't even gone to them yet. They were just surprised at they were surprised that they didn't do that well, but they didn't really overestimate their support, at least not yet. But that's why I think Wisconsin has that issue. Now I want to look at Minnesota. 2014. Does Minnesota have a race? Let's check. Yep, they do. Good. So where's that? Minnesota. Minnesota, number 24. Al Franken winning re-election by 11 points. Great. 2016. No race in Minnesota, right? Yep, I think there shouldn't be a race. Yep, there's no race in Minnesota. I just want to look at the California margins for a second. Yeah, Kamala Harris, they're two Democrats. That's why they have two different colors. But it's interesting. It's funny. The Democrats are winning about, 100% of the votes went for Democrats. Isn't that funny? In California, 100%. All the Democratic and most of the Democratic and Republican areas voted for Kamala Harris, interestingly enough. However, in 2018 Minnesota elections, there were two of them actually. The Minnesota scheduled election, Amy Klobuchar's election, but there was also Tina Smith's special election after Al Franken's resignation for the claims. Okay. Minnesota, regular. Amy Klobuchar wins by about some 20 plus points, relatively well. If you look at the statewide, she won a lot of counties that went for Trump in Minnesota. This area, Rocio, Kitson, so many counties she won. She won a lot of Trump counties, like this one. Let's see if she won any of those three. Those are extremely conservative counties. Yep, she didn't win any of those, but she won a lot of counties that did not go. Tina Smith, however, didn't do so well. She didn't win as many counties. She only got 52 points, a difference of about 10 points. However, if we look at 2020, Minnesota still has an election. Tina Smith winning by 48. She wins by 5 points. She hasn't even hit 50 points. And then Joe Biden coming along. How much does he get? He beats Trump by 7 points. But what I really think this means, and lots of political people or pundits, FiveThirtyEight, lots of people have similar views, that statewide, this is the future of Democrats statewide, narrowly winning elections. However, the only reason Joe Biden won by 7 points Minnesota statewide was because the other person on the ticket was Donald Trump. Now, let's go back to the map. I've explained why I classify Minnesota. I'm not saying Minnesota is a competitive state, but I'm not saying Nevada is that competitive. I'm not saying Texas is not competitive, or Florida is not competitive. I'm just saying in those states, Democrats are overestimating their support. So now let's go back and look at Florida. Florida is not there in 2014. So let's get that map right now. Now I want to look at Florida a little lower. Connecticut, all counties went blue. If all counties went blue there too. Mike Crapo winning. Florida. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, F. Yes, I found it. So Patrick Murphy, a Democrat, he was Florida's representative from Florida's 18th congressional district. So if we look at the map, Marco Rubio did remarkably well. I mean, back then, Marco Rubio was elected. He would not run for both Senate and President. So, in April 2015, he said he would not seek re-election, but on March 15, 2016, about 11 months later, he said he will run for re-election. Ran for the Republican nomination. Lots of people ran, however, then Pat Murphy also won the seat, yeah. And basically what this meant was Republicans looked good there. Then we came along to 2018. This was really painful, a sad year for Democrats. Bill Nelson, the incumbent senator, who is now the NASA administrator, I think. I don't know if he's been confirmed. Let's check. Bill Nelson. So NASA appointment. And Biden, yep, Biden selected him. That's nice. But let's wait. Trump appointed him to NASA. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, but he endorsed Joe Biden. Okay, but what happened here is this is a really close election. But Democrats thought they could win this. Most predictions for this race, thought it would be a lean Democratic. I mean, if you look at the predictions, it was usually a tilt or lean Democratic. However, Democrats overestimated their support. He didn't raise enough. He didn't actually do enough, and he lost this race. Extremely small margins. I mean, look at this. He lost by so little. The difference between votes is 10. If he just gotten 11,000 votes, he would have been the senator from Florida, and he wouldn't have to face re-election till 2024. So this is a huge Democratic loss. And if we look at 2020, there was no race in 2020, but on the presidential level, Joe Biden lost by a big margin. I mean, 3.3 points. That's a big margin, you know. He did really well in some statewide. He got a lot of white voters who went with Trump to change party, but he did badly. And when I say badly, I mean really badly. Look at the margins. A Democrat to win Florida must have Miami-Dade by at least 30 points, and now Joe Biden only had it by about 7. So that's why he lost. I do plan to make a video on this Florida election autopsy. What happened to make Joe Biden lose? But that's real. That's the main reason I think Florida is somewhere where Democrats overestimate. I mean, everyone expected Florida to go for Democrats, Ohio to go for Democrats. But I don't think Democrats are overestimating their support in Ohio as much, because Democrats didn't invest heavily in Ohio. They invested in Florida because they thought they could flip it. They didn't invest in Ohio because they didn't really need it as much, and they didn't actually think it could be flipped. So that's what we're talking about today. Democrats are overestimating their support. There are other states where some people think they are overestimating their support. Ohio, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, New Hampshire, Maine, specifically Maine's 2nd District, Nebraska's 2nd District, Montana, and Oregon. Lots of states, but to be honest, a lot of these don't count, like Montana, Colorado, New Mexico, Oregon, Nebraska's 2nd District. These 5 are somewhat reasonable, and there are arguments both for and against. But if you look at the only ones where it could actually be counted, only ones which, so in total there could be up to maybe 10, I would say, or 11. But to be honest, the major ones are Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada, Texas, and Florida. If you disagree with me, if you have anything to share, any video ideas, please share them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thanks for watching, and please hit that subscribe button.